All right. So, guys, I welcome you all into this Dell Boomi session. What did we discuss in the last session? Which all different components did we talk about? Can you recall?
Document cache.
Very nice. We
Program
added an. We talked about document cache shape, right? What are the different operations we can do with the document cache shape? Document cache is a component. I'm sorry. Document cache is a component, and we can do different operations on this component. Can you recall what are those operations?
Add to cache. Remove from cache.
Add to
Retrieve,
cache,
retrieve from cache.
retrieve from cache. Very nice. And
From cache.
remove from cache. Very nice. With when we are in map shape, then also we can perform an operation on this cache
Lookup.
component. We can
Lookup
perform a
document cache.
lookup document cache. Okay, very nice. There is one more thing we can do which we haven't talked about called as add cached data in the map shape. There is one more thing you can do, and that is called as add cached data in the map shape. That is also something you can do. We'll talk about it. Okay, what else did we talk about apart from this? We talked about program command shape, right?
Yes.
So program command shape can perform what kind of operations?
Except select operation.
Except select operation.
This is used to perform DB. This is used to perform DB based operations. Yes, and it is also used to execute some system level commands. What do you mean by system level commands? So sometimes, let's say, as a part of integration, you have to execute some .exe file, or you have to run some script, right? So those system level commands, if you're running them, if you atom on, on Windows, right? So any Windows related file, maybe .bat file, these kind of files you have to execute, then you can use program command shape, and it can also be used to perform DB based operation. But the only caveat is that it cannot be used to perform the select operation or any operation that returns the documents, right? So we cannot do anything of that sort. All right, I think we understand this. What else? That's all or anything else? So we can look at our process. I think we have got,
Call.
yes, we talked about the connector call. We can do connector call in the map shape itself. Yes, so I tried to do 2-3 examples. I think not 2 examples, right? How do we do a connector call? I think we understand this. So is there anyone who hasn't or who hasn't started doing hands-on at all? Who hasn't even logged into the Boomi platform? Guys, just give me a minute. I'm getting an important call. Give me a moment. All right. So guys, what I was talking is we talked about all this. Yeah. So is there anyone who hasn't even started practicing at all? Okay. So good if you have started practicing. I'll be sharing some of the activity guides with you. Okay. You can take a look at those, and those are some of the commonly used use cases. So you can start practicing those, right? And we'll be sharing more guides. So, but then just start doing that, start practicing all that stuff, right? So if you go to the shapes, so now do you have idea about some message shape? What does message shape do?
You can produce
Transform
dynamic
data.
documents.
Yeah, it can transform the data from one format to another, right? Set property shape.
To set various
properties like
document and process properties on
Yeah.
profiler.
outbound connector calls.
Yes, very nice. Then message shape.
We can produce
To
dynamic documents.
to generate static and dynamic documents and also to
It
transform
also
data from one
transforms.
format to another.
Very nice. What about notify shape?
Logger. It's a logger.
It's a logger.
It's a logger. It can produce certain alerts also, which we haven't talked about. Program command shape.
Yeah, to perform SQL database operation.
SQL database operations, and it can also be used to execute system level commands. Process call shape.
To call another
From one process to another process.
Okay, to call a process from another process, we can use process call shape. Process route shape, we haven't talked. That's fine. Data process shape.
to split
To
documents.
perform data transformation and manipulation on document data like split, combine. Split the
You
document.
can do split. You can do combine the
Combine,
documents. You can
yeah.
write scripts also using this. You can do base 64 encoding. So there are numerous operations. We'll see few of the more operations with the data process shape. Find changes we haven't covered. Add to cache, remove, retrieve from cache, remove from cache. You have some idea. So at least you have some idea about 50% of the shapes, isn't it? From the execute category. Let's move on to the logic category. Branch shape.
It
To produce a copy of documents.
Yeah, so whenever we want to produce a copy of certain documents, we can look for the branch shape. As many branches we have, that many copies we have, right? Then route shape, we haven't talked. Claim shape, we haven't talked. Decision shape.
True or false?
True or false?
Yeah, so whenever we want to make some decision.
Content based routing.
Yeah, content based routing, very nice. If we want to do, we can do decision shape. Exception shape, any idea?
Termination of document.
To use the
To generate the it is to generate the exceptions explicitly. We use exceptions.
Okay, we haven't covered this, but that's fine. Somebody told an answer. It is used to generate an exception explicitly, which is correct answer. But yeah, we'll talk about it. Stop shape.
To stop the process.
Ensure an execution.
Yeah, it is used to abort the process, but it is not necessary to always abort the process, right? It can just stop a single flow in a process, but still can let other flows to execute, right? Return documents we didn't talk, flow control we didn't talk, business rules we didn't talk. What about try catch?
Error handling.
Error handling.
This is used for error handling, right? So what I want to say is at least we have idea about around 10 shapes, isn't it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe more than 10, right? 11, 12, 13, and around 14. Okay, so we know about 14 shapes, which is good, right? Maybe after another 2-3 sessions, right, we will cover majority of the shapes. And now I want you to think out of the box, wherein I explained certain examples. First of all, you should complete all these examples. I'll give you some activity guides also. And it's not only about just copy pasting what I'm doing. You have to also understand it conceptually also, how things are going ahead, how things are moving inside. So those things are very, very important to understand, right? So what we'll do is we'll park this example. We'll take one simple process today. We'll start with a simple process. We were doing SFDC integration. Yes, this is the folder we were using. We'll start with a new component and new component, new process. Okay, so we will say Just I want to explain you few shapes. Okay. And once I explain you these shapes, then we'll take some use case where we will try to basically implement that how it can be useful in real time, right? I just want you to basically first understand how to make use of some of these shapes, right? We started with the star shape of no data type. What are the different types of star shape can we have?
4.
Data
Data
pass-through, connected
connector and training partner.
Very nice. We can have 4. So those are no data, data pass through, connector call, and the trading partner. That's fine. Very nice. Okay. So theoretically, I see a lot of people are answering, right? But I want guys to do it practically also. Okay. And this coming Saturday, okay. Coming Saturday, I might be planning a session on APIs. Just giving a heads up. So APIs is a very, very important topic. Okay. Very, very crucial. So maybe on the Saturday and Sunday, we may have 2-hour session on each day, Saturday and Sunday, right? Where we will talk about APIs separately, because that is a long topic and in 1 hour we don't get that flow. So I need a lengthier session. If anybody will have any concerns, just do let me know. Okay. We'll plan accordingly. But yeah, we can change the timings here and there. If you people prefer it, it is good to have that session in evening time of India. We can do that. But we'll talk about it. But just want to give a heads up. Think about it, and I'll ask you in 1 or 2 days that how does it look like to you. Okay. So now here, let's say I started with a process. I'm just, let's say, doing some small POC. Okay. What is POC?
Proof of concept.
Proof of concept. Very nice. Okay. Why I'm using this terminology? Because I realized that a lot of people are freshers, and not freshers, even 1 or 2 years experience guy, when they hear POC, they don't know what is the meaning of POC. Okay. So when you start working in real time, when you're working in any company, like your manager or your team lead might say you, go and do this POC, right? So as the name says, what does it stand for? Proof of concept. So now I have some concept in my mind, right? That I will pull the data from, let's say, this system and I'll push it into it. This is how it will work. But that is only a concept, right? But now when you materialize it, right? When you implement it, may not be in a real time manner. When I say real time manner, let's say you have 1,000 fields to map, but you map only 5 fields or 10 fields to see the feasibility of the solution, right? So if you implement the smaller uh, uh, I mean, your bigger, you do the actual bigger implementation, which actually needs to happen in a smaller way, such that you check the feasibility of the solution, then that is called a POC, right? So while doing a POC, you might take some assumptions, you might try to reduce an overhead, but at the same time, you just check whether if this solution is scaled, right, will it work in real time or not, right? So now I have a star shape. Now let me ask you this: if I have a if I have to want to produce a document right after this without connecting to any end system, what is the option I have?
Set shape.
Which shape?
Message shape.
Message shape. Very nice. I have an option called as message shape. If I want to produce a document without connecting to any end system, I have a message shape. Now, so far, whatever data format we have been using, that was XML format, right? Can anybody recall any rules which are very peculiar about XML without which you cannot generate an XML file?
We must have root element.
Very nice. You must have root element.
Yep.
So you will not believe it. I was working with a guy who has 7 years of experience. Okay. 7 years of experience working in Boomi, and he came to me saying that this is my XML. I'll show you. First name like this. And this is a real time problem I'm telling you. One person came up to me, and that person was stuck for multiple days, that why his solution is not working. He was doing something like this. Okay. So he was trying to process this kind of XML and it was not working. Why it was not working?
It's not
It doesn't have a root element.
Root element is
Root element is not there.
Format is not correct.
Yes. So root element is mandatory in an XML and root element is not there. And that's why it was not working. Somebody is not on mute. Okay, now it's fine. So whenever you're writing an XML file, right? So please take help of XML validators. So online you have a lot of XML validator, right? So don't assume anything. Sometimes we become overconfident and we feel that we will be always right, right? Even that happens with me also. So don't live in that assumption. You go here and you just say validate. Okay, so it will tell you that there is the markup in the document following the root element must be well formed. So at least it will give you an idea that whether your XML is, good to go, or there are some issues, right? And you have a lot of validators in the market, right? A lot of online validators. You can look for one which is more user friendly. But what I'm trying to tell you is please do this kind of operations just to get a fair idea whether you are at the right path or not, right? Now, apart from XML, right, there is one more format which is used very, very frequently, that is JSON format. What does JSON stand for?
JavaScript notation.
It stands for JavaScript object notation. Okay, it is more like a text-based, human readable format which stores the values, which stores the information or the data in the form of key value pairs.
Elements.
Okay, it is used to store the data in the form of key value pairs. So in XML, what happens is you have to write elements, right, to store the data. And there is a lot of overhead in the sense there has to be always a root element. Then you have to write a lot of, so to represent small information also, sometimes you have to take a more overhead. You have to have a starting element, you have to have a closing element. So that looks like, little cumbersome. It occupies little more bandwidth, right? So when to send small information of data, you have to write more metadata, which occupies more bandwidth over a network. And now when we talk about mobile integrations, right, these are also called as lightweight integrations, wherein we want the faster response time. So we want to use a lesser bandwidth so that things can be faster. So that's where these days you will see JSON format is given more importance. But at the same time, XML has not gone away and it is not going to go away. So you should have a good idea about XML as well as the JSON. These weekend sessions I'm planning, right? This will talk very, very exhaustively on REST and SOAP, right? So now before that, I just want to get an idea about JSON format, right? So, so understand one thing, that whenever you're writing anything in JSON file, right? So the extension of the file will be .json, yes? And you will always represent the information in the form of key value pairs, right? In the form of key value pairs. So now when you start encapsulating your information, the whole data set will be the whole data set will be either part of a JSON object or JSON array. So whatever JSON object or JSON array. So how does JSON object look like? Like this. And oh, sorry, this is a JSON array. This is an empty JSON array. And how does JSON object look like? Like this. This is a empty JSON object, right? So how do we write information? So let's say I have to represent the same information over here, this information. So we will choose JSON object. We'll start like this. First name, Sumit. So here, what is the key? This is the key. Yes. So in JSON, The keys are always enclosed in what?
Double quotation.
Yes, the keys are always enclosed in double quotes. So here is my key, right? Next thing is JSON supports following data types. What are those? It supports string, it supports integer, it supports boolean, it supports date. Okay, string, integer, boolean, date, and of course float also. Yes. So now what I'm trying to say is, here you're writing a JSON. This is a JSON object or a JSON array? It's a JSON object, right? As I clearly mentioned over here, this is a JSON object. Now, what I'm trying to do in that JSON object is I'm trying to write some key value pairs. In that key value pairs, first key name is first name, right? And that key is enclosed in
Double quotes.
double quotes, right? It is mandatory. Then you're giving, this is called as value of the key, right? Now, is it mandatory the value will be always in double quotes? Not necessarily. It depends that what type of data do you want to store in the key. If it is a string, double quotes are mandatory. If it is an integer, what do you think? No double quotes are required. Okay, because if you again write it in double quotes, then it will treat it as like string. Boolean will be true or false. Okay, when you're writing true or false, if you're writing like this, let's say first name is this, and let's say there is a flag like employed. The person is an employed or not, right? And it is a Boolean, true or false. So let's say that somebody writes like this, true. Will it treat it like a Boolean?
No, it will treat as string.
Right. If you want this to be treated as Boolean, you should write like this. There should not be double quotes. So we'll write no double quotes. We'll copy from here. And for this also we'll write no double quotes. Yeah. For date, double quotes are required. Okay. For date, double quotes are required. But then what happens is, whenever you play around this with these date formats, right? Whenever you're working in integration, so you will have a lot of scenarios where you have to convert a date format from one format to another. Those kind of requirements will do come in. So then in that case, you will parse this. So let's say you pass the JSON data, right? You pass in double quotes. Now you might ask me that, okay, we are passing in double quotes. It should be also getting treated as string. That's right. But then if you're following the proper date format, then only it can be parsed as the, if we follow proper date format, then only it can be parsed, right? Why do we need to parse? Let's say sometimes you get like this, 2021-05. I'm sorry. Let's say sometimes you get the format as like this, 2021-05-10. So this, which format is this? Year. Yes or no? Now you might have a requirement where end system that might need this data in DD, MM, YYY format. So how can you do the conversion? There are a lot of date related functions. Okay, so you can use JavaScript or Groovy script. Okay, and there are some out of the box mechanism also in profile. Even if you are not interested in script, still we should be able to change it. But that can only happen when this information is stored as a proper date, right? So it might go as a string, but it can be only parsed when it is following the guidelines which a date should follow, right? And whenever it is a float, do we need double quotes? No double quotes. Yes, Double quotes are not required. Now this is information about one person, isn't it? First name, let's say there is last name also. This is information about one person. Now let's say likewise, I want to store the data about multiple persons. How can I do that?
Using array.
We need an array, right? Whenever we want to store, whenever we want to store multiple users data, multiple persons data, multiple employees data, we need a collection, we need an array. So what we'll do is, this is an object. First we'll convert this into array. We'll convert this into array like this. Yes. Now this is an array of objects. Yes or no? Can we write like this?
Yes.
So this is the object number 1, object number 2, and these two objects are part of array, and this is called as a JSON array. Is it easy?
Yes.
Yes. So now this time what I want to do is, first of all, I want to validate whether it is a JSON array, validate JSON array or not. Yeah. So what I can do here is, can I write JSON validator? Yeah. So you go here. There are a lot of sites which will help you. Okay. So now here, can you see there is an option validate JSON? So it is saying there is a problem. Where is the problem? The problem is the different key value pairs. Very important note. The different key value pairs are required to be separated by what? Comma.
Comma.
The different key value pairs are required to be separated by comma. So if you just observe here,
After
here
that,
we add comma, but did we add comma over here? No. This object was there. After that, we added a comma, but did we add a comma over here? No, right? Are you understanding? This is one key value pair. This is another key value pair. What is the delimiter between these two? Which one operator is going to separate them out? This comma is going to separate them out. Yes. So I take it again. I go back. And what I'll say? Validate JSON. Now, does it look like a valid JSON? Yes. So when you're new to the stuff, right, it is always good practice that you check this out, whether you're writing a valid stuff or not, because you might assume that you are writing valid JSON, but that may not be actually a valid JSON. So now we have a valid JSON. Let me go back to my platform. Okay, so what I can do is I can write like this. I'll say save as, maybe I'll go to the D drive and I'll write employees.json. Yes. So here you will have something like Notepad++ language JSON. It is selected, so you will see the proper formatting and all, right? All right. So this looks good to me. Now using this data, I want to produce a document. Using this data, I want to produce a document. So what we typically do, we write the data like this. Yes or no?
yes.
Yes, I do that. This is a very, very simple example. I'm just trying to explain you, and there is a reason why I'm trying to do this. Save, test it out. You might think that what is there to test in this? It should produce a document, but it is failing at the message shape. It is failing. What it is saying, cannot parse argument number, blah, 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 caused by for input string. So is it able to parse this JSON?
No.
No, right? So whenever you are writing these kind of JSONs, it should be always enclosed in a single quotes. Okay, in Boomi, whenever you're trying to give this kind of a JSON, it should be in the message shape. This is specifically for message shape. You should always enclose those in a single quotes. Does it run now?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you come here to the stop shape, do you see a JSON array? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Do you see a JSON array? So now this is a small catch, right? But sometimes people spend a lot of time. They don't understand what is going wrong because they might feel that JSON is fine, but then what is going wrong, right? Another important question. Any question so far from anyone? Actually, you should have a question, but nobody asked me. Let me ask you guys. So this is like we are passing this whole JSON as a string, isn't it? When we are wrapping it into a kind of a single quotes, we are passing into a string, and then when it goes after the message shape, it is getting parsed as a JSON, and we see that JSON in the stop shape, right? But this is what kind of JSON? Is it a static or a dynamic one?
Static.
Why is it static?
Because we are not importing from file anywhere. We just given the value in the message shape.
Yes, so we have everything hard coded, right? We have no parameter which is dynamic, and it is a static file. Absolutely correct. But now let's say this first name, right? This one. I want to make it dynamic. Maybe there is so just to avoid any confusion, let's assume it is like this. It's possible that in an array there is only one element. Yes or no? So let me first run it. Okay. Does it work? We go to the stop shape, shape source data. Yes. It works, right? Now let me ask you this. If I want this Sumit to be dynamic, what do you typically do?
Set properties.
Properties. Variables in the variables.
What will you do, guys? So first of all, you will have to replace this Sumit with something. What do you do? Will you write something like this?
Currently, this is when.
Huh? And let's say you try to make it dynamic first. Maybe I will use static to start with, and we can replace the static thing with more better thing. But first of all, I need to check that here I have given single quotes, right? Yes or no? Here I have given single quotes. And now within single quotes, can I pass dynamic parameters or not? So let's say I give like this. I just save it and I try to run it. Okay, we come to the stop shape. Let's see the data. Is it working as expected?
No.
No. But this is a very common, a very basic requirement you might get, isn't it? So then we'll try. double quotes as is, and then I'll add a single quotes. Save or run it. Stop shape source data. Is it working?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is working. So what did I do? There was a double quotes, and whenever I wanted a dynamic parameter, I added a single quote also. So this is again an important catch. Whenever you're working in real time, these all things will be very, very significant. So if you observe over here, this is my JSON. Double quotes was there. I kept it as is, but wherever was my dynamic parameter, I'm just enclosing that into single quotes, right? And then my dynamic parameter can be read. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now I don't want this to be hard coded. Okay. I want that this value I should be able to change or decide on the fly at the time of the execution. How can I achieve that?
In the plus change to
Okay, this one change to what? Okay, from static, let's say I will change it to dynamic process property. I'll say DPP underscore name. Okay, DPP underscore name. Okay, save. Yes, I'll go to extensions. Here I'll go to dynamic process property, and here I will add an extension with the name, same name. What is the name? DPP underscore name. Yes, I will say test. I'll select the atom. I'll say test extensions, and here I will select DPP. And in DPP, what I'll give? Sumit. And I'll say run test. Okay. Come to the stop shape source data. You see the document. Do you see Sumit? Yes. So now, I don't know, somebody was asking me, how do we pass dynamic process property in extensions? Do you understand this? That we wanted to first of all make it dynamic. We made it dynamic using DPP. Then we added extensions in DPP. Yes, like this. And then when we were testing it out, we went to the dynamic process property and we gave that value. Any questions, guys, so far from anyone? Are we good so far?
Yes.
All right. So let's say there is one more element over here, and that element is location. Okay, location of a person. So let's say we can have IN for India and US for USA, and then we may have, let's say, UK also. My God. I'll add one more over here like this, and we'll take location. Now after location again, I forgot to add what? Comma, right? So if comma is mandatory. So here the location should be US, let's say. Now I'll take this one. And I'll add some John. And let's say the US is UK. Okay. Likewise, right now, maybe I have 3 locations, right? And in future, I may have more locations, but this is what I have for now. So first of all, I'll just try to check and run it. Okay, I come to the stop shape source data. Okay, does it look like a legitimate JSON array? Yes, you can always turn on or off the formatting. Does it look good? It does, right? So now what happens is in real time, sometimes we try to copy and we keep on struggling. This line numbers also gets copied. Yeah, these all are real time stuff, small things, but important to know. So what you have to do is you have to just turn off the formatting and then do a copy paste, right? So when you try to copy, you have to be very careful like this. I mean, your line numbers will get copied at some point of time. So if you don't want to struggle, just do the formatting off and then do copy paste. Okay. Anyhow, nobody is going to ask you that. That will only help you when you work in real time. And the question is now based on the location, let's say I want to call different flows. Okay. I want to call different flows or different processes based on the location. Yes. Based on the location of the employee, I want to call different processes. Then what should we do? If I want to take a, if you want, I want to write a condition to check the employee of, or sorry, to check the location of a person, which shape can I make use of?
Decision shape.
Okay, decision shape. Now let's say in this case, how many locations do I have?
3.
3. What if I have 30 locations? If I have 30 locations, so in decision shape, what you can write, you have 2 operands, right? So here you can write, so let us try writing it with the help of decision shape. So what should be the first element? I mean, what should be the first operand if you're using decision shape?
Location.
Location. And how do you get location?
File element.
Profile.
Profile element, right? Which type of profile?
JSON.
JSON. And do you have the profile? Did you create it so far?
No, we have to create.
We have to create. So let's say I name it as JSON persons data. So you have to import. Yes. Choose it. So let's say you go to the D drive, employees, JSON, next, finish. Now, what do you see? What is root? Root is an array. What is root?
Array.
Root is an array. And within array, you have first element. That for that first element, what do you see? Min occurs is 0, max occurs is
Unbounded.
so by default it is taking care. But when we were working with XML, we had to do it, right?
Yeah.
Then within array, what is the first array element? It is an object, isn't it? So when it is talking about this is an object or not? And within that object, you will have some key value pairs. Yes. So this got created. You can write save and close, and your condition should be on what? Location. But do you see location?
No.
Why don't you see location? Because we added location at a later time, right? Sample file didn't have location. So what do you, how do you go about it?
Manually we can add.
So you go here, you do not have option to add. You go to object. You write add object entry. And let's say it is location, right? If you want to bring it up, you can do like this. Yes, first name, last name, location, and employed flag. Save. Now do you see location? Yes. So now you tell me what are you going to do? Location is equal to, first let's say, can you give multiple locations over here? So what you are going to write, you might write, let's say, US, right? Then it may be true or false, right? In true one logic, what about false? Guys, you have to answer, right? For US, you check the condition, that's fine. It can be true or false. Okay, in true, you will write, let's say you will call a process. So to call a process, which shape do we use?
Process call.
Process call.
Very nice. So let's say you use a process call shape. And here you are calling a process. Let's say the name of the process is subprocess US. Okay. And in this, if I want the data to come from the parent one, what should be the start
Data
shift date?
pass through.
Data pass through.
Data pass through. Very nice. And I'm just adding a stop shift. Yes. Save and close. Okay. Now what about other one? How to check condition for UK, India? What should I do?
You need to add one more decision shape, but
I need to add one more decision shape, something like this.
yeah.
Yes.
And instead of US, I will write IN. And for the UK, one more, isn't it? So this is fine, but first of all, we need to add a lot of decision shapes, right? That looks kind of cumbersome. And what if we have 30 different locations?
We need to go with other shape.
So that means this decision shape can do this task, but I don't think decision shape is the right fit, right? So we have a different shape. And so what I'm trying to tell you is, whenever we want to evaluate same parameter against different values, then we prefer to use which shape? Route shape. Okay, so I'll explain you. We go back here. I'll get rid of this. So you can collectively select all of them and you can say remove. So when I clicked on remove, what should have happened? What should have happened? That profile, whatever we created, will it get deleted?
No.
No, it won't delete.
It won't delete because the profile is a component, right? So that will not get deleted. That will still be there. Okay, so here, which shape we will try to use?
Route shape.
Route shape, root or route, whatever you call it as. So this route shape by default has one branch, and that is called as a default branch. Yes. So here you have an option to select document property, process property, profile element also. Yes. JSON profile element, profile. And what do we have? Location, right? Now you selected the profile, the different value, the different possible values for this location can be written or can be configured in a single route shape. So here you can write the possible values. So, and for each value, it will create a separate route. If it is US, okay. If it is UK, one path, India, another path. And tomorrow, if more locations get added, then you have to just do it in this route shape itself. Right. So what I'll do is, for UK, I'll call this Sorry, for US, I'll call this. For this one, I'll just copy for now. And for the default, what does default mean? When you are sending a location which is other than India, US, UK, let's say you are just stopping the flow, that's all. Maybe you're not taking any action. And here what we might need to change, we might need to change these, right? So instead of this one, I'll create a new one. This is for which location?
UK.
UK. Star shape of data passport type. Stop shape. Yes, similarly for this one. I'm creating new sub processes, okay? For three different branches. So now what do you feel for this kind of use case? Which shape is better? Decision shape or route shape? Definitely route shape, right? Adding the conditions is also very easy, right? If tomorrow, let's say you have one more, let's say Australia. You can add AUS and you can develop one more sub process. Yes or no? What all this is happening? So here, so now tell me one thing, can I go and rename this one to Australia instead of creating a new one?
No.
No,
Because if I'll do that, what is going to happen, you know?
that process
This
will
one,
get
the one which
overwhelmed.
was there in India
Yes.
will get changed to Australia, right?
Australia.
So I'll create a new one. I'll go here, I'll add a stop shape. Yes. This is done, right? All right. So now let us try to run it and see what is the behavior. Do you see any issues with this process? Oh, it's going to default. It didn't go to any of these. It went to default. We'll see the document. What do we have? We had the location as IN, US, UK. Yes, but it went to none of these. It went to default. Here, actually, first of all, I should have given IN, right? Isn't it? Yes. Now let me run it. Okay. Now it is going to India. What is going to India? Let's take a look at it. The complete document is going to India. Is this the right behavior?
No, we need to do data splitting.
Data process, yeah, splitting.
Right after this, we have to make use of
Data process split documents.
we have to make use of data process shape, and we can split documents. Which profile? JSON.
Yes.
Which element?
Location.
So you have to split it always on the which one? Array. Let us see if it is first. I'll check this part. Or maybe let's check everything at once. We are not pushing anything in any end system. So when you're pushing anything into the end system, you should always try to remove that connection and test your functionality, because you might end up unnecessarily, creating a lot of entries in the end system. Okay, still it is not working, right? So that means split is not happening properly, and your split should happen actually on array element 1. Okay, I think it should have happened on this. Now let me try to save and run it. Because that object, whenever we have multiple objects, those objects of array should get split. Now let's see. All right, now it's working fine. We have the data. Something has gone here, something has gone to the UK one, something has gone to the India one. But what is the order? What is the order? So what's going to happen is after split, how many documents will you get?
3.
Documents.
3. So it will first of all decide that which all documents qualifies for which all branches, right? Now it found out that one qualifies for one branch number 1, then one qualifies for branch number 2, and one qualifies for branch number 3. Then control will go to the branch 1 first. Yes or no? And then branch 2 and then branch 3. Yes? Any questions so far? So we go to branch 1 first. Can you see this arrow mark?
Yes.
If the control is going to branch 1 first, right? If the control is going to branch 1 first, and if let's say I change the stop shape like this, should the branch 2 execute?
No,
No.
no, it will run.
It should not execute, right? So this way we can check whether it is really sequential or how is it working. Let's check it out. Okay, so we went here. It was end and return, but still the control is going to branch 2, isn't it? So what does that mean?
Like from the document, like first one, if it is India first, it will go to the third branch first and execute, then it will come. Like in the data process, when we split, we had 3 files.
Okay.
The first one was India. So it is like coming to that one first.
Let me do one thing. Let me go here and make this as end return. This one also. Okay. I made it end and return for all
only
these.
3 will execute and rest all will not.
Which only the third will execute is what you feel? Okay.
All will execute, yeah.
So what is happening here actually?
It's parallel.
Parallel execution.
It's parallel execution.
No, actually it's not parallel. It is sequential. Okay. After 1 only the control is coming to 2. That is for sure. And how can, but then only thing is this one, this is for this sub process, and this is not letting to control your parent process. This end and return, whatever we have, right? So let me tell you this. Let's say here it is a branch. Yes. There is a normal stop shift. So what will be the typical behavior? After branch 1, the control should go to branch 2, isn't it? So this is important to understand. Let me run it again. Can you see here? The control didn't went to branch 2. So the point I'm trying to say is this stop shape is only having a impact in the same process, isn't it? See, it was end and return, so it didn't let branch 2 to execute, but it cannot control the flow of execution in the parent process. Are you guys following it? Now, but the question is, if you had a requirement, which I started with, how will you take care of that? So in that case, what we typically do is, so there are provisions where we can, return the flow from here. So it's not you called a process and after that you want the flow to go back from here. Yes. Can you see one new branch coming out of the US? Why it came out of the US? Because we use a new shape. And what is that new shape?
Return document.
Return document shape. What is this shape telling? That it will return all documents which we have over here in the child process back to the
parent process.
Parent process. And now in the parent process, let's say I use a stop shape over here. And here I uncheck it. Now tell me, is it sequential or parallel?
Sequential.
It is sequential, and the sequence is the number whatever you see. The only thing is stop shape in the child process will not be able to control the flow of execution in the parent process, right? So now what we did in the child process, we use a new shape. And what is that shape? Return document shape. So like when you write functions, you have a return statement, right? What does that return statement do? It will return the control back to the place from where the function was called, right? It can take the control back, at the same time it can return some values or not?
Yes.
Yes. Similarly, return document shape, it will take the control back and it will also return the all the available documents. Okay, so this, how does this branch shape execute? Let's say I have a, how does this return document shape execute? This is very important to understand. Let's say we have something like this. Something like, this is a very, very important use case, whatever I'm explaining. Once you start working in real time, you will understand. You will have a very, very common requirements like this. So let's say I have high over here. I'm just keeping it simple. And this one is, let's say, buy. High buy. I add this and like this. What do you think is going to happen?
Subprocess will return both the documents.
Okay, subprocess will return both the documents. Let's see. So when I come to this stop shape, how many documents? 2, right? First document high, 2 bytes, and second document buy. Very nice. Now when you go to this subprocess, what will happen? This return document shape, how many times will it execute?
2 times.
2 times.
So it will execute ideally 2 times, right? Branch 1, then branch 2, but it will not return documents twice. It will wait for all the branches to complete. It will collaborate or it will collate everything and then it will return everything in a single go. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Sumit, it will return in a single go, but it is returning different documents, like 2 documents.
That's
So it
correct,
will
but there is a difference. So let's say if it will return first document first, and then the first document starts, and then second document, then it is a different flow, right? Because just understand this, you have 2 different documents, which is correct. Now, those 2 documents are getting returned as a chunk. It is not getting returned one after other. Okay, it is getting returned as a chunk. So sometimes you will have requirements in real time where you want to create the data in chunks and not sequential, like not one after other. You want that whatever data I generated in branch 1, that's fine. It should wait, and the data from branch 2 should also come. I should collate everything and then I should pass on to the parent process. So when I come to the stop shape, how many documents will be coming to the stop shape?
1.
2 documents. 2 documents. Stop shape, how many documents? 2. Why 2? Because these 2 documents came as a chunk, right? That's what I'm trying to explain you. If return document shape was executing one after other, right? When I say one after other means, for example, branch 1 executed, then it will return that document. Then branch 2 executed, it returned other document. Then in that case, we might have seen stop shape getting executed 2 times. With how many documents? 1 document. Yes. But here with this return shape, the beauty of the return shape is it has a capability to wait for all the branches to execute and then return the flow back to the calling place. Any questions?
Why stop shape will execute 2 times? I'm not getting this point.
Right now, it is not getting executed 2 times. But if these were not coming as chunk, okay, let me ask. So let's say it is like this. Actually, first of all, when we use 2 return document shape, now things will be a little different. Let me. How many branches are coming out?
2 branches.
2. So as many return document shape you will have, that many branches will be there. Now, if you test it out, what is going to happen, you see the control is never coming to the second one. Why? Because you had end return, right? So now you have first one, you have second one, right? Both branches got executed. Yes or no? Now, after execution only, return will execute. First of all, that is important thing you have to understand. Branch 1 executed, branch 2 executed. Whatever is there at the branch 1, now that will be returned. That got returned over here. Control come here, but here you are saying stop and return. So if you see, there is a lot of difference in the behavior when you're using these shapes differently. I mean, the flow of execution is changing. How the flow of execution is changing? Let me take you to the sub process. You had a branch here where you have 2 different branches. First branch executes, second branch executes. Return document shape always waits for all the branches to execute. Okay, it will wait for all the branches to execute. That's why you see this return document shape is there. Ideally, what you would expect is, what will be your expectation? That when the control went here, there was a return document shape and it should have returned the flow, right? And then the branch should have started, but that is not happening. So return document shape behavior is it will wait for the execution of all the branches to execute, then only it will return the flow back. It executed everything. Now this one returned the control back. Now, when this returned the control back, there is a stop shape which is saying you should not continue further. So the point I'm trying to explain over here is that when you combine like this, so what is the advantage you are getting? What you're trying to achieve over here is that these two documents, which were kind of sequential earlier, right? That you can make it in chunks. So I'll give you an example. I was working on a requirement where we got a single file. In a single file, we had two different data sets. Okay, maybe there were some personal details and there were some salary details of an employee. Those were two different chunks. Now we want that to get split, that to become two different documents, and it should become two different documents in a such a way that those two become as a part of the same chunk. When it goes to a specific shape, it should not execute that shape twice, but that shape should get executed once with two documents. If you're not using this kind of phenomena, what will happen is you will always get one shape executing twice. But whenever you use this kind of methodology, then you will be able to produce two documents which goes back as chunks, and your single shape, like the way we saw earlier, stop shape, that shape will get executed with chunks of document. Means you would see that this particular shape is getting with two, executing with two documents. Okay, let me think of some more use case also which can help you to understand much better. We'll continue from here in next session. Actually, I have to catch up another call. We'll just wind it up over here for now, and we'll continue.